Great tools make great content. And at Learn Anything, we've built a range of tools to allow teachers and content creators to build quizzes and courses quicker and more effectively than ever. So creating a quiz on Learn Anything is very simple. You can either use a phrase or a set of instructions for the AI to generate the quiz, or you can create a blank quiz, or even import a quiz from an image of a handwritten test or a PDF. We're going to use the first option and create a quiz on the causes of the Second World War. So here the system will generate by default 5 questions for the students, and each question will come with a mark scheme and the ability to enter the answer directly onto the platform or upload it or take a photo if the student wants to use pen and paper to complete the quiz. So here's all our questions. We want to take a look at those and edit them before the students see them. So here, for example, I might look at this question and say, I don't want this to be a 4-mark question. I want this to be a simpler question. So I can update the mark scheme to make it just a 2-mark question. But of course, I can enter any instruction I like into there, making the mark scheme more general or simpler, however I want to make it work. I also want to be able to test the auto marking of the system. So is this a good mark scheme in terms of automatically marking responses? So I can manually add responses and then the marks for those responses and then test those against the automation to see if the mark scheme is working well with the AI to automatically mark the work. I can even generate some sample responses with a description, so I can make those particularly good responses or poor ones or anything in between. I'll just generate a range of responses, and this will generate a set of possible answers and suggested marks for each of those answers. I can then tweak those and make the marks more appropriate so that I know that these responses are correct in terms of their marking. I can then run a test using the system, and that will test all of those responses against this question and mark scheme so I can see how accurately the system is going to mark. As it's doing that, I can see the results of those and I can see the accuracy of the system, and then I can tweak my mark scheme to make sure that it's marking more accurately. Let's try this with a different subject. We'll try a maths question. So I can add questions to my quiz, blank questions, I can duplicate a question, I can create a similar question, but here I'll create a custom question and I'll create a maths question with just a simple adding fractions question. So here I've got some maths, which I can then preview and make sure it's looking correct. This uses LaTeX, so you can display any formula you like in your questions. Maybe I've made a mistake in my LaTeX, so let's make a couple of mistakes here, and then I can alter the question to fix my LaTeX, and then it will return the same question, but with good LaTeX. I can also change that question in any way I like. So maybe I want to translate to Japanese, and it will then create a Japanese version of the question. And once again, I can do exactly the same thing to the mark scheme and also create some automated tests. So maybe I'll have a simple mark scheme with just a single answer with a simplified final answer of 19/24. And then here, I'll generate some responses again. And this will once again create a range of responses, some of which will be correct and some of which will be wrong. I can then check those and edit them as needed and then run a test. So it's extremely easy to be sure that the system is going to mark your students' work accurately and how you would want it to. And that was a quick roundup of the new editing features in Learn Anything.